as I was saying, Joy Taylor, every dog has its day. And since I'm a big dog, I've got 2 days. Okay. So now.
You just called yourself a dog?
Yeah, I'm a dog. Yeah, I'm a big dog, a big one.
Kevin Durant is 6'11", who can pull up from 40. Okay. This brother is on that level. I'm talking about offensively.
Do you think you're better than Darrelle Revis is right now?
I'm better than you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Low Down Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Brown, as always, and I'm witnessing greatness right now. You know why? Because I'm speaking to someone that is filled with greatness. His name is Darren Haynes. He's a sports anchor / sports director at WUSA in Washington, D.C. He was also a former ESPN SportsCenter anchor. So this guy has a long list of accolades in his career. I just want to say, Darren, welcome to the show.
Man, I'm glad we're able to find some time to get on the show because with all the stuff going on with the Washington's NFL team, it's literally been nonstop. If you want me to keep it real, what's going on right here, I feel like Adam Schefter because I have 2 phones that I'm working with right now, but I think he may have 3 or 4. I have a daughter next to me trying to do the TikTok. I was trying to cook lobster dinner because I'm up in New England because I wanted to make some of that, but at the same time, I'm also trying to buy a house. While taking care of my mother. So we're not trying to buy the house. I'm just closing on the house. I don't need to try. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so there's a lot going on right now, especially with the burgundy and gold. But I'm glad I'm be able to get on the show.
Wow, talk about multitasking, man. That's a long list of duties that you have right in front of you, and the fact that you're also on this podcast, man, that means a lot to me. And you said you had 2 phones similar to Kevin Gates, but I'm pretty sure those 2 phones are more important than what you have, though.
Yes, sir.
Well, man, I just wanted to start off. So what led you? I wanted to ask this like right away. So what led you from SportsCenter to WUSA, if you don't mind me asking?
That's a great question because I'm standing in the room the same time I got the call that I was hired to be a SportsCenter anchor, also in the same room that I was no longer going to be a SportsCenter anchor at ESPN. Back in 2017, April, I think it was April 26th or 25th. ESPN laid off a whole bunch of on-air talent. There's certain times of changing and stuff like that, and I was one of the anchors laid off, and I was always grateful for the ESPN opportunity. I mean, that's the worldwide leader. That was the dream job, and a lot of people kind of get you to achieve their dream, but they never tell you like, what do you do after you lose your dream? But I was lucky because, like, literally, maybe about 3 weeks after ESPN laid me off, a bunch of other stations, but Washington, D.C. called me up, the CBS station. They're like, hey, can you run our sports department, and also be our main sports anchor? And, I mean, D.C. is a great city to live in, and you're running the show. That's not a bad consolation prize. And what's amazing is, and I'm also a man of faith, how God works sometimes, because I've literally been in DC and I'm a humble person, but it has been nothing but success since I've been in this particular city. Nonstop success, from winning all the sports anchor AP awards to crossing my fingers on if I can get the 3-peat on best sports anchor for the Emmy Awards, which will be announced August 8th. So God's been good, man.
Oh, he sure has. I mean, like you said, like whenever one opportunity goes, whenever you lose one opportunity, there's always another one laid out for you. So he always has a plan for all of us, right? So I agree.
Correct.
100%.
I mean, he's preparing you sometimes for a bigger situation. Sometimes where you're at in your particular place. Like, I love Boston so much when I worked in Boston, but it did not work out, and I was sad and depressed. And what's funny is I'm in the same room that I had to come back to after I lived in Boston because I didn't have a job for a whole bunch of months. And I'm like, why am I in this particular position? And who would have known that I went from unemployed to getting the dream job? You see what I'm saying?
Exactly. I mean, that's right there. You are a prime example for the next generation that's trying to, that are very aspiring to become sports broadcasters. You are a prime example. I'm pretty sure. I mean, you are, especially that you're a man of faith too. I mean, you can't beat that. that you can't beat that, because there's always going to be trials and tribulations in our life. And then the fact that you said that there was another opportunity that was laid out for you, that's proof that he is real, and that's proof that if you keep the faith and you persevere through everything that's in front of you, good things will happen eventually. And that happened for you. And you are the exact prime, like I said, the prime example for that. So I'm just glad you told me that. I'm glad you told all the listeners that, because that is much needed to hear some positivity during these uncertain times, obviously. Like we're dealing with a pandemic right now, and we're also dealing with a bunch of protesting that happened within the past couple months. I mean, there's a lot of chaos going on in this country and this world. So to hear positivity is very important.
That is 100% correct.
And to move on, so knowing that you're in Washington, D.C., I mean, the news today is they go from, supposedly changing their name to now they're also facing reports of sexual harassment. So it doesn't look good for the Washington Redskins organization right now.
Yeah, so in regards to like the report, I clearly know a lot of stuff. I kind of will refer to the Washington Post on what they put out there, but according to the Washington Post, that's nothing small. Especially in these days with the Me Too movement, like that, it's just as important as any other type of rights, and women are victims to a lot of things, and this really just puts it out there that this has been going on for a long time, and that's not cool. And I'm curious on what the NFL is going to do about it, because I'm sure that goes against their normal NFL conduct. So we'll see what type of punishment they give Washington's NFL team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just hate to hear news like that, especially when you hear about women struggling like that. It doesn't make sense to me on why men do it in the first place. But I don't even want to go any further with that. It's just sad to hear news of women coming forward. And what also makes it worse is the fact that usually people don't believe women unless they come forward in public. If they just go around telling their friends or family, that maybe their friends and family will believe them. But if they go around telling their colleagues or somebody else, like maybe an acquaintance, they probably won't believe them unless they make it public. So that's the sad part. You wish that people would take them more serious.
No, there are women out there to this day that are afraid to speak up because they'll be looked at in a different way. Like if it's a star athlete, these women are afraid to speak out because they're going to be on the athlete's side, and that's a horrible position to be in. But that is a reality for a lot of women. And let's be clear now. There's men in that position as well. This sexual harassment stuff that goes on with men, but there's the embarrassing part of it. Like if someone, and I'm making this story up, if someone had to deal with sexual assault, like some people, that's their personal business. They want maybe justice, but they don't want the world to know their personal business. They've been violated. Think about how tough that is, and we should be encouraging and trying to help these particular people, but instead, could she be lying or could he be lying? It's a tough position to be in, and it's human nature. It's been a negative part of human nature for years.
Yeah, it looks like it's not slowing down either. I mean, it still seems like a negative nature, like just tying to what's happened.
I mean, just think about it. Like women's rights, man. Like, think about when women were able to just vote. Like, I can't remember the exact date, but like, has it been even 100 years yet?
Actually, it has been 100 years. I believe it was 1920 to be exact. Gotcha.
All right. So there you go. Like, that's what, 2 generations or 2.5? That's not that long ago.
Exactly.
When if you look at how long the United States has been around, or just human beings, period.
Yeah.
That's a small percentage of our lifetime on this earth.
Yeah, that's
our human race on this earth.
That's 100% correct. And then it just seems like we have long ways to go in order to get, to make everybody equal, because it still doesn't seem like it's, I mean, it looks like we're heading that direction, but it still seems like it's skewed in a way. So I'm just hoping that something changes, especially like you said, you have a daughter, right? So let's hope by the time she's older that things change tremendously from now.
Man, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I'm always supportive of women, and anybody knows me, I'm always quick to try to hire somebody. I want it to be diverse, different colors of the rainbow, and also, I have Charlotte McBride, who's a woman who we hired, I'm glad we hired a woman because I can speak on a male's perspective. But if we go on the news tonight, I can go and talk about, hey, women this, but I'm not a woman. I don't know how that feels. I don't know what it feels like to go through that. A woman does, and that's why diversity and inclusion is so important. Women in our business, sports anchor in our business, Carrie Champion, one of my homies, Jamil Hill, Maria Taylor, like those, when they came into this business, you don't think guys frowned upon them, trying to test them to see what they knew? Like they're trying. It's one thing to be a minority, and we always joke we got to work twice as hard. But now all of a sudden you're a woman as well. I mean, so I'm in full support of women, man, because there's a lot of women anchors that are dope. And while we're talking right now, hold on, Redskins just gotcha. Okay, all right. Go ahead, my man.
Okay, cool. So
yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, gotcha. But so you said there was some more news about the Redskins, but I guess we'll get into that for a second. But the fact that you brought up Maria Taylor and all them, see, that's another thing. Like, I'm glad you brought up those some valid points because, like you said, we can't really walk in their shoes because we're not women, obviously, so we wouldn't know what it's like. I mean, I have a mother and two sisters, so I look at them. It must be very difficult for them to do that every single day. And the fact that you brought up, like, when you have female sports reporters, yeah, that was also a good point of you saying that men are going to try to test them to see what they know. See, that's another thing, man. I never understood the stereotype of women not knowing anything about sports. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a huge chunk of women in this country that know more than twice as much as the average Joe when it comes to sports. If they're a sports reporter for a reason, right? So I'm pretty sure they can, if they were to do a sports trivia, I feel like they can just own them.
Man, I'll be real, man. My daughter is all around me right now. I didn't hear the last thing you just said. You can hear her in the background, right? That's what happens when your mom the grandma gives the daughter a whole bunch of cookies. But you're getting the real me right now, man. You're getting the daddy side of me, the work side of me. You're getting the breaking news, breaking stories and sources type. You're getting everything from me right now. But continue to go, man. I apologize.
Oh, no worries, man. No worries. I'm always willing to make adjustments, especially while we're recording. So that being said, like the fact that you're multitasking, like you said at the beginning of this episode, means a lot. I mean, the fact that you're able to do all this shows you how talented you really are. So I mean, I just met you, so I mean, there's probably way more to what you have than what you're doing right now. So this is a really good first impression because I don't know. There's not that many people I know that can multitask and actually focus at the same time. Because I have ADHD, so I don't know if I'll be able to handle it. And the fact that you have your own family and you're working at your job and your own vacation, man, I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like at all. So again, I respect you 1,000%. I'm gonna put 1,000 because that's way up there in the upper echelon, man. The fact that you're able to do all this, man, means a lot. And it's just crazy how, like, you brought up breaking news. That's another thing about sports. I mean, unfortunately, it's been pretty quiet the past few months due to the pandemic and so forth. But just hearing about the Redskins you just hate to hear it. You hate to hear about all these allegations of sexual harassment. And it just seems like it's just, I feel like there's way more to the puzzle than what we've seen right now, because this is what we're just now.
Oh yeah,
there's way more to it.
Listen. I have some worse stuff. I think, but what it comes down to is like when us as journalists, you can have the he said she said stuff, but when you hear stuff, you need to kind of verify it. You need to make sure you dot your I's, you cross your T's. There's my phone. Wait. They got to go to voicemail because I don't know what number is calling, but I'm sure it's about the Redskins. But you got to make sure you have your stuff on point, and especially in a situation like this where you can get sued for like defamation. Like these people's lives are at danger or at risk, or you see people getting fired. These people are gonna have to go home and now to their family and explain why they don't have a job anymore. You hear my phone going off, man. But there's also the legal part of it. So like we can't just say anything of what we hear. We have to make sure we verify a lot of stuff, and it's not easy. And I know of some worse stuff that probably maybe they didn't have court documents or police reports for. So we can't necessarily just go out because it's a he said she said thing.
Exactly. I mean, that's another good point. See, the fact that you brought that up is also, that's the thing. The he said, she said, and plus there's also this trend that's been going on for the past few years, especially in the social media age, the picks or it didn't happen. That's another problem that's going on right now. So people are going to believe that there's no proof. There's people probably like, these women are probably receiving backlash, unfortunately. But like I said, they have to dig deeper into this whole entire case because there's multiple cases, like at least 15, right? There could be way more cases. It's just 15 women as of now that came forward. So like you said, there could be way more of them. So we don't know that. And I feel bad for Ron Rivera because this will be his first season as the head coach with the Redskins. So he has a lot on his plate, and the fact that he's introduced to this program and now that they're receiving backlash. First, the name change, now sexual harassment. I don't know how he's going to handle this. I'm pretty sure he's stressed out as we speak.
So it's going to be tough for. Actually, it won't be tough for Ron Rivera. But it's a tough situation to walk into. Nobody would want to walk into this particular situation. But if there's one person that can handle this situation, is Ron Rivera. And then the good part about it is everybody knows Ron Rivera has nothing to do with this. Ron Rivera is the guy who's trying to come in to change the culture. So in the eyes of a lot of people, Ron Rivera is that superhero trying to save the day. So he has the district behind him. I don't know anybody who speaks bad about Ron Rivera. So he has a lot of support. It would be different if he was in this and people were like, "Oh, we don't have no respect for this guy." But people have the utmost respect for Ron Rivera.
I mean, that's good to know. That's actually good to know because that's true. I mean, plus it is common sense because the fact that he just came in, he just landed in D.C. not too long ago. So this case could have been. I mean, I don't know when it happened, but it could accumulated over the past few years. So I mean, like you said, he has nothing to do with it. He just left Carolina. So to see that he's part of this program, yeah, I feel like it'll be a little bit stressful just to see how he would save the day, like you said. And I do see the thing is, I found out just 4 years ago now, because it's 2020, so 2016. That I have a cousin that plays tight end. He actually started this past season with the Redskins. His name is Jeremy Sprinkle. I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with that name.
Yeah, I know Jeremy Sprinkle. Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually one of my cousins. I just found out not too long ago. He's on my dad's side, but I don't know him personally. I think my dad said the last time he saw him was whenever he was a little boy. So I mean, it's been a long time. And there's a friend of mine that actually plays for them too. His name is Jordan Brailford. He's a DN/linebacker. They're moving him around, especially with the new system. I actually interviewed him just 2 months ago on my podcast. So I mean, I feel bad for both of these guys that they're hearing about all this news, and then they also have to focus because, right now, especially with workouts and stuff, the players have to be – they can't really work out all together. I mean, it's pretty much – I feel like it's physically impossible for them to formulate a bubble, a so-called bubble like they do with the NBA because the NBA has way less players than the NFL, and the NBA is indoors anyway. The NFL is outdoors, so the fact that they're able to coordinate all these workouts and most of their meetings are virtual, that was what Jordan Brailford told me 2 months ago. And now with this recent uptick in cases, I feel like they're now stressing it a little bit harder now, especially seeing because back in May we had a little bit over 1 million cases. We weren't even at 2 million yet, and now we're at roughly 3.6 million as we speak. So I mean, it's been a huge jump since then. I feel like it's just the Redskins organization as a whole has a lot to deal with right now, a lot on their plate. I mean, not only the pandemic, but now these sexual harassment allegations. I don't know what to say, man. I'm running out of words for it. So, I mean, I know you.
Well, I mean, they also got to figure out a new name that's not going to be disrespectful to anybody.
Exactly. That's also stressful too. Because
I mean, that was the lead story on Monday. Nobody's been really talking about the new name the last couple of days.
And has there been? Have you received any information of do they have any possibilities? I know Adam Schefter tweeted out, "Hey, what do you think is this is a week ago. He tweeted out asking the public of what is the best name for the Redskins, and there's been a bunch of sports media personnel all over the country tweeting the same thing, using their platform to see if any fans would come up with any names. So do you have any background information on what names could be a possibility coming up?
No, but what I do know is they have basically a short list of names, but this was a couple days ago because clearly this story that's been happening with the sexual harassment has kind of trumped that. But they at that time 2 days ago they haven't decided on a particular name yet, and I think a lot of that comes down to the patent rights. Who owns a particular name or something like that. But, a lot of the fans, they've been flowing around Red Tails, from the Tuskegee Airmen. You also have Red Wolves, which I was calling one of my favorites. There are a lot of people who also bring up the name Warriors, and I kind of shut that one down. Like, that's not going to happen. That can't happen. And the reason why is if you look at Marquette University back in 1994, they changed their name from Warriors to the Golden Eagles because they felt like it was offensive to Native Americans. So if they go with the Warriors, that's literally putting Washington's NFL team back in the same position that they started in. So for everybody who likes the name Warriors, nah, man, that's not going to happen. Someone's going to educate him real quick when it comes down to picking a name, if he hasn't been educated about it yet. And we're talking about Dan Snyder, the owner.
Wow. Yeah, see, that's another thing. I noticed that, too. I did see that on Twitter about, Warriors being a potential name, and I saw that. I was like, okay, so that means, just like you said, the team is just contradicting themselves if they do that. So that wouldn't make any sense at all. I feel like they would lose a lot of credibility if they were to actually move forward with that name. I mean, it would just show you how ridiculous that'll be. But I'm hoping they have some. I mean, there's plenty of people within that organization. There's plenty of ideas. So I'm just hoping if they were to come up with an idea like that, it's like that's just a form of laziness if you think about it. That's a form of laziness.
I don't think I'll call it laziness. I'll call it ignorant, unaware, tone deaf. I think there's a lot of part of why, like, for an example, when people are wondering why the Black Lives Matter movement or why there's racism and, we're taking the Confederate flag and stuff like that away from NASCAR, and people are like, well, we like the flag and stuff like that, or why is it such a big deal? Well, a lot of people it's the lack of education, or they have not been educated and they don't want to necessarily be educated. I mean, I can ask you this question. Like, when you were in school, how often did they bring up Black history? Was it just during Black History Month, or was it part of your normal curriculum when you went through high school? Because for me, it was just Black History Month. What about you?
You know what? I'm on the same page because, as long as I can remember, it's from kindergarten all the way through senior year in high school. That's all we learned was just mainly Black History Month. They would talk about the same thing.
Correct.
They would talk about Martin Luther King every single time. It was civil rights movement.
Same people. Yep, same people. And so that's why there's a lack of understanding as far as in why Black Lives Matter movement is so important. Because a lot of people don't necessarily know how valuable our race actually is. And if we were all properly educated, it would increase our value. If you realize, like, whoa, we did this, we did that. I mean, let's just be real. Like, I always talk about Planned Parenthood, and people were like, Planned Parenthood is such a great thing. Before Planned Parenthood turned into Planned Parenthood, it was actually I forgot the woman's name, a woman who was trying to basically get rid of the Black race, but they knew they couldn't just slaughter and just wipe out a race. So to slowly kill off a race was to allow them to not have children, to further their, to just basically cut off a generation. So they're making these women sterile. That used to be what Planned Parenthood used to be. That's what they were doing to Black people. But they don't teach you that in school.
Not at all. Not at all. And that's actually similar to what happened to the Koreans and the Chinese about 100 years ago when the Japanese Empire was very powerful, and they tried to get rid of the Korean and parts of the Chinese race. Same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just when you hear about stuff like that, it's definitely alarming. It's like, man, that really happened, and it wasn't that long ago, like you said. I mean, that really happened in history?
Yeah.
I mean, and then you don't understand. You ask yourself, why? Why would somebody do something that cruel? But we never know. I mean, some people were just, I guess the way they were raised, it's just some people are just naturally crazy. I mean, like, when you look at, like, we're both men of faith, right? So, I mean, you would ask yourself, why would Cain kill his brother Abel, right? Why would he do that? Same thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so, to move on, it's like, when you brought up the Washington Redskins, so it's that. So I guess whenever you're running your shows, you guys have to be as neutral, especially being a journalist. Like, you don't want to sound biased or anything like that, unless it's like an opinionated show similar to First Take on ESPN or Undisputed on Fox Sports. But so how do you guys prepare for these shows, especially with this breaking news like this? I mean, do you guys get enough time to prepare for it? I'm pretty sure you already have enough information, so it probably won't be as difficult for you.
Well, it depends on how good you want to be. I learned at ESPN, when it comes down to preparation, the more you know, the better off you'll be. And what I had to learn was that when I went into my SportsCenter shows, I needed to be a fan of every single particular team. The same way I'm a fan of the UConn Huskies or the New York Knicks back when they used to be good. And I used to know every team, all their names, where they're from. And when you go on television and you may pronounce a particular name wrong, or maybe your information is not correct, you lose your credibility. And there's a fan at home, no matter if it's an NFL team or a Division III football team. Someone's a fan of that team, and you need to study all that information like you're a fan of that particular team. And so, true story, man. This is why I always just keep working. I mean, I'm working right now, and I'm on vacation. I wake up 9, 10 o'clock, and I start researching from that day, and my research just never stops. It's consistent. It's consistent. Digging, trying to find more information about a particular team or a particular player that another person may not talk about. So when they see my sportscast compared to others, some other sportscasts may say, I don't know, Ron Rivera is a great coach. He's a great motivational leader. And then for me, I can say, hey, Ron Rivera is a great coach, but you know what? He also is relatable to his teammates. You know why? You ever hear of Booger Sugar? Yeah, Booger Sugar may be a thing that they also joked about when they were referring to cocaine, but that's not what the case with Ron Rivera. They actually get the ammonia sticks, put them in water and shake them. The whole team all gets together and they take a sniff to get them excited and waking up for games. And yes, Ron Rivera even used to do that, and they kept doing it because they kept winning when he was with the Carolina Panthers. I hope they do that with the Washington's NFL team. See how I just gave you more information about Ron Rivera that maybe someone else didn't?
Yeah, that was, you know what? That was a really good example. I'm gonna have to track that part. I'm gonna save it and listen to what you said every day because I'm an aspiring sportscaster. I mean, right now I'm currently in news. I'm trying to get into sports, so like I'll do anything like to listen from somebody that's already in the business. You're already in the sports business, and the fact that you were one of the top ranked programs in ESPN. So the fact that you have a background with them and that you're a sports director in a major network. Oh, man, I'm glad you said that. So now I'm definitely writing that down. So I need to make sure, I try to get like you, hopefully, because I already know you're up there. So I'm definitely going to try to do whatever I can to learn, listen from the greats like you, and definitely take heed into it and try to apply it to myself.
And please forgive me because it's getting towards the time where I got 11 o'clock's about to start. So 11 o'clock news. Uh-huh. So I'll end it this way, man. I got to give what I just told you about finding different stories. We call that mining, and I did not make that up. There's a guy by the name of Stan Verrett who anchors SportsCenter in L.A. Stan Verrett's one of my mentors. That's what he told me, and it literally changed my career. So if you ever see Stan Verrett anchoring ESPN L.A., he's probably going to be doing it tonight. That's the guy. I wasn't born this way, man. I'm basically a product of the community that raised me. I'm a little bit of everybody, a little bit of Jay Harris, a little bit of Stuart Scott, a little bit of Berman, a little bit of Scott Van Pelt, actually a lot of Scott Van Pelt. Those are all the people who, there's more than just that, but Rob Parker, Stephen A. Smith, these are all people who said you should do this or don't do that or maybe do more of this.
Well, that was a lot of names. That was a lot of names that I'm very familiar with. And, keep going.
Nah, I'm just... Those are all the products of people who help me out. I can get even deeper into the sources and connections that you build with people. I'll never forget David Ortiz, Big Papi, was told me about, hey, this is how you should get this number. Like, this is how you should approach some of these athletes with the Boston Red Sox. So I get like building those connections and it helps out. I was like a sponge. And for anybody trying to get in this career, be politely aggressive and don't settle for mediocrity. And people are going to tell you no. If they do, give them the Heisman pose in their face. And like keep striving and outwork the individual next to you. I see you working hard with this podcast. You're going to make me go harder on my podcast. But that's just the way I work. I don't like to lose. I'm not a sore loser, but I'm always out to win.
Yes, sir. That was very well said, man. I'm really glad you told me that. That just changed. this was unexpected at first. Like whenever we started, I already expected this to be a great episode, but this turned into one of the elite episodes. Probably this is actually one of the greatest episodes I ever had. I mean, I know I spoke to Barry Sanders last year, arguably the greatest running back in NFL history, but that was different. That was about his career, his life. But like when it came to giving out advice, I don't think anybody else that I spoke to has gave really good advice like you did.
Yeah, tell Barry I said what's up, man. If you ever talk to him, I'll never forget him. I'm writing my script for SportsCenter, and this is how ESPN is. You're just typing, okay, I'm gonna do this in my show, and I look up, and Barry Sanders walks by. Like that was just a normal day at work.
Wow.
But yeah, I grew up as a running back myself, so I admire a lot of what Barry Sanders did.
Yeah, he was phenomenal. I mean, that's a whole nother story. I can tell you about that some other times. I know you have.
Yeah, I got to bounce.
Yeah, so you got to bounce. But yeah, I'll definitely. So what I'll do is I just wanted to say thanks again, Darren, for coming on the show, man. Like what you said means a lot to me. That actually touched my heart just now. So I'm definitely gonna go back and listen to this episode over and over again. Take some notes, pay attention to detail, and make sure to try to get like you in the future, man. Because that was very, very influential. What you just said. I just appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you, but don't be like me. Be yourself, but just be better.
Yes, sir. Well said again.
Stuart Scott told me that.
Oh man, see,
my man.
Wow. Yeah, R.I.P. to him too, man. That guy is a legend.
Yeah, he is. I appreciate you for having me, man.
Oh, no problem at all.